So the idea this morning is try to understand better what is the gender budget plus audit, and how to implement the GEP and the gender budget audit. The idea that we have try to open the discussion, starting with some example, starting from Brescia. We did the gender budget audit and GEP, and so we can be an example, not the best, but an example, and we can start to discuss from this. Please ask everything. Allora, this is, for instance, the new. This was the first gender budgeting that you can find on the website. I asked for printed, but we had very few numbers, so I don't have today. Maybe tomorrow someone, but maybe to travel is better. Go to see online when you come back. And here is divided in the analysis of context, as yesterday was explained, action for equality, and I think it would be interesting today look at a little bit closer the reclassification of the cost of expenses of, in our case, university, to change how are in the past. I mean, to go toward the equality of gender. And so I show you, go to the third part here. And here start the third part, the reclassification of, we explain how is the budget of university, and which kind of organism have a relation with defining the budget, and how to reclassify. No, maybe you prefer you speak and you explain a little bit. I pass at the competent. This is only to this is only an example, and of course is the budget is the part published. So some reasoning now Annalisa show you, because the idea is how to understand how to individuate the kind of expenses that it's sensitive to the gender, because not every cost, of course, but many costs that seems not sensible really are. So the idea is try to with some example, but after the idea is have clinics with you and try to communicate one-to-one to help in this work. I leave you the word and I pass to distribute this. See? Check online. This is our JEP. I printed some copies, and to have an example, is in Italian. Ma c'è sul sito, sì. Is only an example.
Yes.
See, it's on website. If you want on website of Brescia, you can find
Della riclassificazione, io non l'ho visto, perché se questo.
questo è il nuovo, non ancora pubblicato.
Ok.
Quello vecchio è questo e tutta questa parte sulla riclassificazione. No, la riclassificazione del bilancio in prospettiva. Se vuoi mostrare tu, vedi.
Sì, sì, sì.
No? Più avanti c'hai tutte le riclassificazioni in questa nuova.
Certo.
Però non ci sono esempi specifici.
C'era una
Ci
riclassificazione.
sono queste robe.
Ok.
Questo è già pubblicato con
Perfetto.
la riclassificazione.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. And this morning, my task is to give some example, not more, of reclassification of expenditure items in a gender perspective. Here we have the example of the university, but like said Susanna, the problem is that we can see here a reclassification made, but before this phase there's a work that analyzes the costs and classifies them. I have small examples of classification, and now I try to show my slide on these, and sorry, and I would like to say that when I studied this profile, I told before to Rita and Susanna, I had some problem in what? Sorry, I'm looking for the slide. In what? Not in identification, the identification of expenses that are indifferent with respect to gender. I thought that, for example, utilities, the electricity, water, are items of expenditure that do not exert effects on gender. I thought. But maybe that for utilities, this is true, maybe. But this morning, when I was speaking about this profile with Rita and Susanna, they told me, yes, but for example, transport. In my mind, there wasn't this idea that transport are now built on the needs of men and not women. They explain me that, for example, what means to be built for a man need means that I imagine a man who goes to work in the morning and come back home in the evening. During the day, in general, a man does move from office or from work. So I fortunately, I'm not made this example. Okay, non ce la riesco a trovare. In my slide, because if I would have done, okay, if I would done it, I would be wrong. In my example, I didn't find difficulties in find some costs for goods. Okay. It is important to introduce before this subject. We have a series and a list of expenses, effective expenses of university, divided into a financial perspective. That is, cost for goods and services, for utilities, for didactic, and so on. So in the in the budget of the university, not the gender budget, the general budget, we can't find this reclassification. This is a task for. Okay, grazie. For instance, here we have an example of item expenses of the general budget of the university, not gender budget, in this pink table. The classification is on the side. Costs for remuneration, personal remuneration, other costs, among which training and education, cost for support students, cost for right to education, cost for publications, and so on. As you can see, these items do not classify the expenses in a gender perspective. This is, we said, this is a classification based on nature of the cost. Okay, also in financial accounting, kind of cost or center of cost of nature of the cost, but not in terms of gender. The task so is not that of the university as a whole, but the specific task of the gender budget. So here you can see the expenses. These are this is the result of reclassification, the result. But before these, we have to know some criteria to divide, to classify, to analyze this cost. Then to go back to my slide. When I build this table, I try to identify the characteristic that an expenses must have to be indifferent or different, with a different impact on men and women, or focused on reduce the distances between men and women. The criteria are these: 3, cost for goods and services that have no gender impact, cost for goods and services that have a different impact on men and women. 3rd, costs for goods and services aimed at reducing gender inequalities. This means that for each category of expenses in the budget of the university, I have to analyze it on the base of these criteria. 3, no more, in my opinion, and in the guideline and in the best practice, because it's obvious that if you make a greater classification, the risk is to be unable then to classify, because the risk is to enter in the details, and then you have to summarize them according to this classification. Well, when I build this table, I try to, because it isn't my job, and I never done before, I try to understand what, in concrete, what does mean this classification. And for utilities, the example is quite simple. It's the first idea that I had: water, energy, and so on, light, are indifferent with respect to the gender, no? But also, I think the tools for detecting and so on, because can be indifferent with respect to the gender, but not. I thought this morning, but not with respect to the disability, different able. Different able. the tools for detecting. So these expenses may have a different impact on intersectionality. Okay. The first example is quite simple. The second is instead more complex, was more complex for me. Costs for goods and services that have a different impact on men and women. Then I thought, what kind of activity could make university that is attractive for me and not for a man, or vice versa? It was very difficult. And I found, for example, expenditure on sports activities. Why? I'm not a football player, but I think that among women, it isn't so frequent that we found women that are football players. So if the university invests a lot of resources, of financial resources in this expenditure, and for example, for football or rugby or other similar sports that has a soul, more typical for men, I think that these expenses are expenses that are able to have different impact on men and women. However, speaking with Rita just this morning, she told me we have to overcome this vision. I totally agree with her. Overcome this vision, because this vision, the risk of this perspective is to create a separation, not integration. So the main purpose would be to create a different classification, different criteria. That is criteria that means not only gender difference, but all kind of sports, all kind of activities available for all people that do not exert an impact or not on gender, but on everyone. For example, expenditure on sports. Which activities I try to think about which activities could be better for women. In which sense? In which sense? For example, I don't know, but
I think the question, either from a university or from a municipality perspective, is if we're providing a service. So if we have a sports facility or a football pitch or a gym, I mean, if we're providing a service to students or citizens or whoever our constituency is, I think the first question we have to ask is, who does this impact? I mean, is there a gender impact that's maybe different? So, I mean, the classic one is if a municipality is open in Turkey, is opening lots of
Yes.
football pitches, which of course is predominantly a sport played by men in Turkey, not exclusively, but predominantly. I mean, there's a real gender impact here. So, I mean, I think that's the first question is, how does gender impact? Is there a different impact by gender in the service that we're providing? So I think and then perhaps how we can create a situation of equality. Does that make sense? I mean, it seems to me that the first question is about figuring out the places where there's a gender difference. If there is one, maybe there isn't one. I mean, I think transportation, I mean, we have an issue with transportation. So The library is open 24 hours at the university. Great. Perfect. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, how do you get to the university? Public transportation does not run. There's a tramway that stops right in front of the school. 12 o'clock, it's finished. Okay, so how do you get there? And of course, the university is not in a great neighborhood. So this then becomes more of an issue about safety. It's a large road. The lighting is not great. And so this, I mean, this is certainly what we hear from our students, especially young women students, which is, okay, great, the library is open, but I won't go. I can't go, and I can't afford to pay a taxi.
Mhm.
So why isn't there a shuttle service, for example, starting at 12 o'clock at night that runs all night, once an hour, to take people to a main transportation spot where there's good lighting, people? I mean, it's a city that's open 24 hours. I mean, that seems to be an intervention that could work to perhaps rectify an inequality when it comes to transportation.
But, excuse me, in that sense, of course, cannot be the university to resolve the problem of city transportation, but a kind of help, for instance, make an example absurd, but a convention with the associated taxi of the city to have fare lower or help people to reach university during some hours could be an help in that sense, sensitive, could be sensitive to the gender, because gender, well, female maybe have more difficult to reach university during time. So in that sense, an expense, a cost could be made by university in that sense to not resolve the city transportation, because of course maybe the municipality can work in that direction, but can do something in any case to help in that sense.
May I add something
So-
to no, I think this is working. Okay, yeah, I think yes, this is what you're supposed to do, I think, in this project, and that is what is interesting, because we are moving from this gender approach to an intersectional approach. So what the advantage is that you have a, a fixed number of people in a university. They may be students, they may be professors, they may be administrative, but this is it. And you may ask them what they need, what they want. This is not the government that is creating gender equality, but this is a university. So the University of Brescia is different from the University of Genoa, different clients, let's say, different persons. So if you ask questions, you may have different answers. So in this sense, what I think you could try to recreate is a new approach to this gender budget / gender equality plan, where, knowing the situation, you can offer alternatives based not only on gender, but also on age. Because when we speak of sport, there are not only the students. We heard yesterday that the average age of professors at university in Italy is 54, 56. So what kind of sport can be interesting for someone of this age that is probably is different? And also if you are a woman or a man, but also if you have some kind of disability, because that is also easy. There are sports that can be done, of course, by people with disabilities or adaptation. So that is another point that I can add in thinking about what to do, what to organize, how to invest money in doing this or that, so that at least part of the money is going also to people with disabilities or to different age range. And then there are those intersecting sectors like transportation. You understand how easy it will be once in the same city you have the municipality and the university that use the similar system in creating this gender budget / gender equality plan system. Then about the transportation, it will be
easier. You will demonstrate as a university with your thousands of students that you have some need, and and then you can speak with the municipality and say, you are responsible for public transportation. Can we think about a system that facilitate using the library at night or during the weekend or so on? So this is what you are moving toward in this project, opening and then giving at the end a methodology that allows universities in different cities, in different countries with different needs to adopt that frame of mind, where we do not assume that what has been done in the last 6 centuries in universities is what has to be done now, because that was taught in political, social, cultural situations that were different. So asking what are the needs and then answering allows us to, and I even would add that it would be interesting also to reflect on those aspects where now we immediately say, okay, this has nothing to do with gender. Are we so sure that, so a parallel think tank where you say, okay, are we so sure? Maybe we assume that it's obvious that this has nothing to do with gender,
Yes.
but then if we think about, we discover that simply a part of the population adapts to what another part of the population considers neutral, and that would be also interesting. This is the
For that is important. For that is important, the analysis of context. I mean,
yes.
if you don't have the photograph of a situation,
Yeah.
what we spoke about yesterday, you cannot imagine how can change things and even which kind of problem there are
Yes.
that you can modify.
I think the issue of utilities really struck me.
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
can we
there's
sure?
actually quite a bit of research that shows that buildings are heated for men because men wear jackets a lot of, and many women do not. It's not quite that strict. We have a problem at our university. Our university is overheated. It's too hot all the time. I mean, middle of winter and students are in t-shirts because it's too hot all the time. And as a menopausal woman, it's really too hot for me. I mean, it's a nightmare. Every room is just a nightmare. So again, I mean, I think there are these things. I was trying to think about the municipalities in this regard. I think one thing we also need to think about is that, I mean, municipalities are service providers. You all provide services to people, whether it's transportation or, I don't know, daycares or sports facilities or these kinds of things. And I think we all need to think about when we're providing services that we're not also reifying gender norms. Okay, we have football facilities and the men can play football, but we need to have some kind of equality so we find something else to give to women. I mean, we spend 100 euros on men and we spend 100 euros on women, but we do it in different categories. So again, without that integration, as opposed to everybody can play football and making that available, we recreate gender roles. Men play sports and women take care of children, for example. It's just the first thing that came to my mind. Does that make sense? That we're also thinking about not keeping men and women separate. I mean, let's make it equal. Men get 100 euros, women get 100 euros, but they're not doing the same thing. So I think we all need to be careful about really rethinking gender roles as well. I mean, it just makes the job harder. Yeah, I got that. Sorry about that. That's true for all of us. But I think it's really important. I mean, one of the criticisms we've gotten over the years at our place for a long time is that our gender equality plan is primarily about women with children. Yes. And many women have come up to me and said, what about me? I don't have kids. I'm never having kids. I'm not interested in that. And so what about me? how do I benefit from this? Because I don't right now. I don't get any time off. I don't get any extra pay. I don't get any support. I don't get any course relief. So what about me? So I think that's also a really, really important thing for us to think about as well, about how we can kind of rethink gender as well. Okay, that was really long.
Yes. That's correct, correct. And I, if you come here, we can record you physically. Good.
Not very short. Oh, do you see me?
Wait a moment.
Maybe we should add something to what Mary Lou and Rita said. Do we what kind of equality do we want? We have to ask ourselves this one. We want to make equal budget or equal services. We have to think about that, I think,
Yeah.
because some services are cheaper and some services are much more expensive. So maybe we should ask ourselves how what is the percentage of men and women have the services equality. So we don't have to spend €100 for women and €100 for men. I think we just have to measure what is the percentage of women that have these services access and what is the percentage of men access, because it depends on the service.
Yes, maybe.
That's something that we should add to gender budgeting, I think.
But in the budget, of course, there are this kind of classification in municipality as in university, you have this kind. The point is try to image which kind of impact has on the difference of gender. No, for instance, an example we are doing this morning were about transportation. If I pay an help for instance, public transport, depending on how I build the help, I can help, for instance, the lower part of the employee or the upper part, gender, maybe the kind of help if is only for public transportation, probably are more women, but could be a help even for the use of a car. I don't know. I mean, depending how you build this, of course, you have a different effect, different impact, no, on the population.
Yes, but there is also the temporal dimension of what you are
course.
saying. That is, I take a picture of the situation, and in the department of physics, I have 85% of men and 15% of women. So the budget now probably is distributed in a way that 85% goes to things related more to male professors, and 15% goes to things related to female professors. But now the temporal dimension enter, because both the gender budget and the gender equality plan are there to create more balance, to change a situation. So if my desire as university or as municipality is to attract more female students, more female professor to that department, I must move somehow from that 80% of money given to things related to male professors and start to shifting some money in activities that can attract more women in that, because my vision for the future is to have a more balanced department. And that is the same for everything. Can be the transportation, can be the heating. If I want to modify the situation, I must start in a proactive way in changing, in telling people things were like that until now, but from now on we are moving in one direction, and you announce the direction in the document.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you because I was thinking other things is the which result the community of the university would reach because, for example, the football player, if you're interested in come aumentare?
Increase.
Increase the number of women. You have to put different fee fund between women and men or their facilities. It's
Sorry, I have to add a technical profile that is that we are now focused on what to do. But remember that in this phase, all these activities has been done. So we must be able to classify them. They are just been done. Now we are speaking about what we could do to improve the situation. But this phase is a technical phase, only to specify this aspect.
Can I add? Here is an example. For instance, we have the gender budget audit of 2021, and this is the last that we are updated. No, so you have, of course, changing. No, the idea is try to start and reclassify, control checking what you are doing during the years. No, so we have this kind of situation that go on. If you look at the, I have online, but now I don't know if I find rapidly, but if you look at the JEP that I gave you, you see that there is I think many of yours, a division in 5 areas. All the pages, I mean, all the pink are different areas. No, if you look at the head, you see objective 1, 2, 3, and area. The areas are 5, and we, for instance, I show an example. Really, here we decided with a commission of for the implementation of JEP is I would say this all we have. No, because we have to done to participate and so on. So we have something similar. Could be different, but similar. We prepared with a commission this that we call in Italian cruscotto, and I don't know in English. Well, the idea is the part of come si può dire? Cruscotto. La cabina di dashboard, well, cabina di pilotaggio, insomma, where you decide, where you control what you are doing, no? And we share with the commission this kind of, maybe I can make larger. Qua. Sì, sì. Okay, and is an example, repeat. The idea is to divide it into the different area. You see double 4 because we divided research as a university, of course, so research and didactic, of course. We call other people to help the commission, and so the commission is named by university, by the rector, but we involve other people to help us because the activity could be many, no? And the idea is to identify an amount of money for every action. So you can change, for instance, here we is in Italian, but I tell you, we decided to make courses for colleagues, for instance, to be more sensitive. But at the point of a story, we noted that at the courses coming people that yet were sensitive. So the idea was change and made you a survey. Really was an interview directly by a person, recruitment from outside, not a person of the institution, but a person, Mariella, from outside, to interview, for instance, the rector, the upper part of the institution, and the lower part, and try to understand which kind of sensitivity they have about this kind of problem. Even when you receive an answer, even when they don't respond, because the lack of the answer is an answer. No, so you try to know better your institution, so you can program some cost and maybe change during the activities because you noted there is better invest in another way. But this kind of structure could be helpful to checking continuously the kind of activity that you because here, for instance, we invested to make a survey on the perception of the violence. In that case, even asking with a researcher from outside, because was more sure, more safe, and was really interesting because you have a kind of answer. Would be here we are around 15,000 people, and you don't have so many answers, of course, but you can have an idea of the problems and could be an instrument to push the rectorate to do more for against violence, for instance, against some kind of problem that connect in that case with violence. I discussed it last week with a friend of Milan. They did something similar, and for instance, without data we speak only, but we noted there are some difference on the perception in Brescia and in the University of Milan. I mean, there are specificities, and of course, for everyone here in any kind of institution will be different. But this, I feel, could be an instrument, simple, is an Excel, something really simple, but the JEP was transported in money. No, could be an idea to start to think about the gender budget, because it's only an idea. After is another things. No, and for that the idea is to do with you some clinics but the idea is could be a point to start transport the JEP in money. No, try to see. We have, for instance, this area. We don't have money here because the idea is try to change some rules inside the activities of university, and so we don't need money. We need to convince the organism to change the rule in a way, for instance, more ineffective. We have some rules. For instance, we sorteggiamo. Extract from different gender, but we don't have the obligation of the result. So we can have at the end free men or free women. The idea is change the rule in a way that at the end, at least one is of the other. No, and so things like that are not cost, but you prevent, you program this kind of activities. Well,
If I may, this is my opinion. This, I'm not part of this project, so it's seen from outside. And at the University of Genoa, we have a different approach. So in any case, this is based on experiences done in other contexts. What happened with the JEPs at the European level is that this was mandatory from the EU, but then there was no indication on how to finance all these. And what happened in the majority of the organizations was that the budget is there of the organization. So now we are creating a problem because we want money to implement a JEP, but the money is already assigned to all what refers to municipalities or universities, public hospitals, and so on. So what could be the answer? What we are trying to say everywhere we go from the University of Genoa in our group is that one of the options in my vision is that we need the JEP to get financed by the EU. Okay, any project that is applying for funding to Horizon Europe must have a number of actions and tasks, possibly a work package related to gender equality. So that money for each project will be dedicated to implementing the JEP. And that could be decided is 0.5% of the proposal, 0.1, depends any university. I think that would be fair, because otherwise you make your JEP yourself next year and we see what happens. So that could be very easy. Is it enough? No, of course. I think this merging the gender budget is another solution, and is more powerful, of course. Why? Because the budget is there, and you tell me that you don't have extra money to put to the JEP, but I'm answering you, you don't have to put extra money. Let's go and look how you spend the money, and let's see how we can shift part of this money to create a different situation. And of course, this is a challenge compared to, but otherwise, within 2 or 3 years, we will have a number of organizations where people stop working at the JEPs because also because we see that the majority of the financing in Horizon Europe in percentage, we know it goes to STEM disciplines, but who is creating the JEPs in the majority of the organizations are people from sociology, philosophy, anthropology. So there is this unbalance because we get a minimum amount of money from the European Union compared to what the STEM disciplines are getting. So we must find a solution. And in this sense, I think that this looking at the budget in a different way can be part of the solution.
I show this. See.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. There was yeah.
Just one last practical question. We are not that far advanced in terms of allocating a budgetary appropriation to specific gender issues. So if we have to go back first, because there is, like you were talking about sports or like whatever, and if there is already some money that was allocated for this purpose, but we cannot be sure how much we can attach to how you resolve this issue. You also went backward and then made projections, or what was your approach?
Allora, I try to specify what I said before. This is a phase in which we are analyzing the expenses assigned and the money paid by the university for some activities. This is a phase of audit, not the phase, not of program. Yesterday, this is important. I know that I don't finish the presentation, and so we haven't seen the phase of programming that is the phase in which we can identify some objectives, some purposes, and there we can identify money that each activity could need, because this is the plan is not the gender plan, but the gender budget is really focused on these aspects. It performs two functions: the programming function and the audit. Now we are in the audit, so I would like to specify this is important, because in operational plan terms, now in this moment we have money already focused on the expenses already done, okay, in the reclassification. But I think that if we make this analysis, we can acquire a sensibility on how we can address resources towards purposes. So when we plan, like you said, when we plan, we have an idea, more sensibility in identify which kind of action could have an impact or not.
When you form, I mean, you have experience from Genoa, you here in Brescia. No, you're saying no.
No, yes.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Informing the gender budget, okay, this is the action, this is how much we think needs to be allocated for it to be done. But you don't tell the university where to get the money from, do you? I mean, you don't say to the university, we think you should take the money from Branco and give it to Mary Lou to finance this.
In Genoa, no.
Okay.
In Genoa, no.
Well, from and to, no, but we need for that. So for which kind of, yes, I mean.
Right. We need to specify, if we want to have training, then we need to specify that this costs this much. And
Because you show the context.
Yeah. Okay. And we leave it to the university to decide how to reorganize its own budget. That makes sense, because they're not going to listen to us on that. That makes more sense. I mean, for me, I think one of the really important things about the gender budget that's really crystallized here for me is that it really makes it clear that gender equality is not free.
Yes.
And too often that's the expectation. Well, we can just convince people to stop discriminating and everything will be okay. And that doesn't cost any money, but that's not true. It all costs money. And so that really, became clear to me that, I mean, we're going to have to pay basically.
And in an intersectional perspective, the same is, for example, with disability. I have been speaking for years with people that tell me, and when I say, I mean, this is there are no people with disabilities attending this huge conference. Oh, we are not doing anything against the people. We are not, we are open, people can, and then I say, okay, there are stairs. There is not translation in sign language. You do not ask the speaker not to rely on the images on the screen to allow you to understand what they're saying. So you do not take into consideration the bathroom in the building, that they are not accessible. So how can you tell we do not close the doors people with disability can? Do you inform the organizations of people with disability that the venue is accessible? Do you inform them that they tell you what are their needs and then you will comply that? So the same is for any kind of discrimination that we can think of. The same is for age, for example. So we start thinking in a different way. And then, of course, this is a progress. Every year there will be a different answer. People will change. People will have different. But this is a hard work we have to do, but we must leave this idea that the organization is perfect as it is. And now, unfortunately, there is a group of hysterical witches that are asking to modify what was working so perfectly until now, and nobody was complaining. Well, we were not there, so that's why we could not complain. I mean, that's easy. I mean,
I just want to say, yes, we are not talking about it. We have to fight to take this money from the budget. Actually, my concern is not just for we create a new budget. There is a budget, there is a money, and the men they are using. This is the case. We would like to take some money from them. That's the reason. I mean, because they use it. Well, how can this is not just the money we are talking like a salary or monthly or something like that. We are saying that even perfect performance system. When you're looking the performance system, there, for example, in university, let's talk to university. This system is really bullshit. That they are using all the time for the men's stuff and the salary and the percentage of the, the yearly percentage of your salary increase for this performance criteria. So we have to change this kind of things. We have to look at this area. I'm not saying that okay, we need some more money and let's create the money from somewhere and pay for no, there is, and we know that who is using this money. So in other cases for the municipality, I'm saying I don't want to talk behind of the behalf of you, but whenever I talk for the services for the citizen, they say, okay, let's talk and let's, do some survey and let's pay some money because it's the services for the citizen because they are, this is the reason for they are there, okay? They're okay. They are more open mind, let's say. But when I talk to their worker, like real worker, they work there, working area, working space. Whenever I talk to please, Jan, let me, if you are saying something, if I'm saying something wrong. Yes, okay. I'm free. I'm not in Turkey, so I'm free. So whenever I say, how can we use, how can, this is not about the citizen because they are really get used to do something for the citizen. Let's do the training, let's do these things because they know that. But whenever I talked about the workers, that what are you doing? Because you are telling the people doing the gender equality, but inside they are really so bureaucratic and you have to follow the instruction, that, and you have to get the permission and everything. And they are so conservative, by the way, they don't want to change anything for their own people, their worker. And this is really hard. And whenever I say about the budget, they are always just thinking about the salary. And they say, this is the a public service and we have an equivalency because everyone, actually, they think everyone get the same salary because we have a B level and E level, the number of or the level of something, and they think, okay, we are equal. No, when you are looking deeply for the extra money, because if you are doing something extra, they are taking the extra money, and then the level of the position. Whenever you look, all the services, most of the woman is working, but is a higher level always. So whenever I say that, okay, let's deeply talk, even the salary, but I'm not talking about the salary, to using annual leaves, other opportunity, education, training, to go the outside, to do something for the municipality, always presenter, like a municipal presenter, they're men. So, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but I really fed up. So because this is not just for the university. We are talking all the time the university, but it's not just for the university. That we have to think about also the municipality because this project, especially, we have some experience, but we have to more focus for the municipality also because they think, we are always talking about the academic things and university, but we also have a partner from the municipality. Maybe they can say more than me.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Main opposition candidate
Thank
in their
you.
municipalities. So, yeah, well, Sometimes good.
We stop, no?
Yeah.
Sì, sì. We, well, after we can remake, discuss or take other questions, we now finish this section and we have a presentation of the
Che ora rimango? Fino a che ora tu vuoi che rimanga?
Come ti mette bene a te, tesoro? Guarda, direi che
Sei ok?
sì, quello che avevamo fatto vedere l'abbiamo fatto vedere, quindi non c'è problema.
Ok.
Bravi.
Ci sono sempre.
Sì, grazie cara.
Poi
Faccio io, ok.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
there,
okay.
there.
Okay. If you
And
want,
how do I move here?
yes, we can. You is better if we show that
The whole.
yes.
Good.
And if we want, because here can do this. We can show if you think it's useful.
No,
No,
because I can't see.
no.
Uh-huh.
I show this,
Good.
but if I move a little the camera to because I command that.
You're
No, but uh, can we record this or not?
Why not?
See?
Okay, I think.
So I leave.
No, I need this. Just, okay. Branco, what? Aspetta, che mi prendo di qua. And shall I? No. Shall I use microphone? Yes.
Can you?
Okay. I want to see. Brankić sedi ovde pred mene, a ja ću prva, pa možemo si, pa vidjet ćeš ti. Dobro, ti ćeš
Telephone here. Ah, okay.
Grazie, cara. Vidjet ćeš ovde. Jo, čekaj, šta je sad? Aha. A da? Da mi sad ništa ne pitaš. Susan, can we start? Does this work?
You can, what you want, all the microphone are okay. There's another mic. If you prefer.
Maybe it's better.
It's open. And okay, there is the light. You have to press this thing. Not so. This microphone.
I see. So shall we start? So hello, and it is great to be here and to have this short presentation. So the main focus of this presentation is the call for the book, A Path Towards Gender Sensitive Policy, from gender equality plans to gender responsive budget. So that is the book which will be published by Springer Publisher. The co-editors will be our Mary Lou O'Neill and Branko Radulovic. And that book will be the part of the book series about which in this introductory part I will say a few words. And I will start with a few words also about the project, the Logen project from which this book series had emerged. So I think that's the logical order for this presentation. And before that, what I would like to say. So obviously is that this book will be the result of the collaboration of two huge, important, good European projects. One is Erasmus Plus strategic partnership in higher education, the Logen project about which I will say a few words, and another is Horizon project Budget It. So
for me is important to say that this kind of collaboration, accumulation of good practices, of networking, of combining results, staff, contributions coming from academics, from different projects is the future, obviously, the future of universities. So internationalization, networking, joint masters, etc., etc. So I'm so happy that we have this good example, the interconnection and the synergy of the LOGEM and budgeted project. And secondly, I want to mention, if I may, individual contributions of academic staff. In this case, particularly my friend and colleague from Lumsa University, Cettina Di Salvo, she was the crucial person for creating the consortium of the LOGEM project, but also she contributed significantly to creating the consortium for including, for example, Belgrade University into the budgeted. So my compliments to Cettina. And now just shortly about the LOGEM project and about the book series. Branko will speak more in detail about this particular book, but I will really very shortly help you to get an impression and overview about the project and its results. So strategic partnership for the development of master study program, law and gender. That is the LOGEM. That's the shortcut for this project. And you will get this PowerPoint with the link, which is at the website of the Faculty of Law, University of Belgrade. So you can have a look. Consortium for this project was Belgrade University, Lumsa, Cadiz from Lumsa from Italy, Cadiz from Spain, Saarland from Germany, and Örebro from Sweden. And the main deliverables were the curriculum for that master's program with 18 courses, syllabi, 18 syllabi, and also the textbook called Gender Competent Legal Education with 18 contributions, chapters, analogous to those 18 syllabi. And also we have the very good high quality lifelong learning platform. You also have here the link. You can have a look because there is a plenty of good lectures, recordings of many important things. And the added values of this project are the Springer book series. Professor Ivana Krstić from our faculty and myself, we are the co-editors of this book series. And you will see later on shortly that we have already published 4 books, and which books, including this one related to budget it are going to be published. Another added value is the master's program, which will start at our faculty Law and Gender from October 2020, from this October this year. So if you have students interested in, please tell them to visit the website of the Faculty of Law and the website of this master's program. So just to have a look, this is the part of the poster for the enrollment for this master program. And I put it because I couldn't find separately the logo. So you can see the logo on the top. And this will be the enrollment poster announced at the Faculties of Law website soon. And now just to mention something else very important, again, about following ups, enrichments, advancing synergies. So from after the LOGEM project, which was finished in 2022, we started with the consortium, 3 members of the previous consortium, so from Sweden, Italy, and Belgrade, have been working on the so-called LOGIT project. So intersectionality was very often mentioned here, and we also did the enrichment of, at first, the title and also the content of that future joint master at which we have been starting working. So law and gender, intersectionality and diversity. So yes, it really is great. So Logit is the shortcut for this. Law and gender, intersectionality and diversity. And now we have been in the process of conducting the short, small preparatory project. It is called Erasmus Mundus Design Measures for building the curriculum, enriched curriculum for that future joint master program. And in February 2025, we will apply for this huge, fantastic joint master program. I hope that we have good perspective, good opportunity, chances to get it, because we really have been done a lot and have been doing a lot currently. So, and this is, you can see the logo of this new, so combination of the logo of Logem and this diversity and intersectionality, that was the way to see in a symbolic way indicate. And now just shortly about already published books. I will not, you can read short presentations. You can also visit the Springer website. So one book, Gender Competent Legal. The first one, this is not from the book series, this book series. That is the mentioned textbook for the Logem project with 18 chapters. Believe or not, and that is the open access book, which is very important. Please read it if you are interested in. So up to now, 98,000 readings, believe or not. But you can see that fact at the Springer website. Then Legal Issues of International Law from a Gender Perspective, already published. You have here the link, and here is also, I can see around 2,000 readings, but this is to be bought book. It is not an open access. Then the book, I know why I couldn't see, because I forgot my glasses. So Gender Competent Public Law and Policies, 1,253 accesses. Then Feminist Approaches to Law, Theoretical and Historical Insights. That is around 1,600 accesses. And now, new calls. Among these new calls is the book edited by Mary Lou and Branko, but also you can have a look, and maybe you can be interested to send your proposals. Not for this book, Reassessing Feminist Legal Theories, that has already been in print, and these those two books, Gender and the Judiciary, fantastic ones will be. You can, for example, Susan Baer, she used to be the justice in the German Federal Constitutional Court, a very significant woman. So she is one of the co-editors, and for this another book from Human Rights Court from Strasbourg, we have the co-editors, and so on. But open calls are for the book Feminist Legal and Political Practices, Interplay of Gender, Intersectionality and Diversity. Then Branko will speak about this book, for which you all, I suppose, will be interested to give your contributions. And then a very interesting the global context, global South, global North, power relations within multiple discrimination at the global level, in the global context, fantastic call. And we combined the colleague from Italy, myself, and from India. And the call for the book, Law and Gender from Intersectionality and Diversity Perspective. Also, the call is open. And for the Logit project, which I mentioned, the people are expected primarily to take part, but also the others. So that is what I wanted to say. And now I'm giving the floor to Branko to say few more things about this call, for which you are primarily interested in.
So thank you, Dragice. Yes, it's fine. I have. So basically, the call was published. So far, we received one paper from our colleague from Alicante. So I would really encourage you to do this as soon as possible, because we need also to submit the content to it. So we are waiting for that. There is just some paperwork to do that we need to clarify whether we should provide this content, wait for additional papers to be submitted, proposals, and then, or we could just submit something generally right now. So we would really welcome all papers, and especially, for example, presentations from yesterday and today, the way how they do it in these two universities in Italy, especially if someone can do something from Brescia, it would be really great. That would be a perfect kind of article. We would also welcome any kind of comparative assessments, empirical assessments. I see that there's a colleague of ours who is an economist. So if they can do some kind of impact assessments of gender equality plans, or we can also have additional topics. So there's a list of topics. It was published in the call. And I would really urge, if you're interested, to submit this as soon as possible. We need abstracts. We can negotiate, I hope, about some deadlines, but at this stage, it would be really good to have. Yeah. So the timelines, we stated that we should receive it up till March 31st. So the deadline is really close. At this stage, we would need some just topic proposal and short abstract. We will be probably able to do this rather fast. You can also pick and choose if you think that your paper fits better to some other contributions to this series, then you can opt for this one. If you are doing something related to gender equality plans and gender budgeting, please think about our book. There are quite a lot of journal articles. I think that when I type the gender equality plans and gender budgeting in Google Scholar, 88,000 items appear. So there are a lot of things that are already covered. There is a Palgrave a textbook from from 6 or 7 years ago, 2018. So this is something that we can look at and maybe not to overlap with what was already written. There are quite a lot of articles about developed countries, especially old EU member states. So not so much. There is also focus on universities. There are quite a lot of articles also about universities. So you can also take a look and see whether there is something that's not covered. But this topic, for example, auditing, that would be a great topic. So again, it would be a really nice contribution. Then you will have enough time, I guess, by the beginning of July to finish your article, and then we will proceed with publishing and basically all this editor stuff that we need to do. That's from my side.
What
I have to add just one more thing. Yeah, one more thing. I know that this is not going to be counted because we need to publish in a journal article. So it's not probably. I have to check with the Mary Lou. You need to publish in a peer-reviewed journal articles for this project to become. But still, this is really nice thing to have. And not all of us will be able to have articles published by certain deadlines. So if you are not sure, this is also the alternative. Thanks. Yes, good. That's it. And I know that, in most of our countries, this kind of publication is taken into account for promotions or so it's published by one of the leading world publishers. So it's a monograph, it's peer reviewed. So this is something that you can also benefit from.
So that is from which you can benefit, but also, Branko, for the Lodgen project, this book series was not proposed as the deliverable, but it was the added value. And that added value really sincerely and essentially contributed to the high evaluation of the project from by the European Commission. We got 95 from 100 points for the quality of the project. So added value is and from Springer publisher to have the added value. And another thing which I forgot to say is that the contract with Springer Publisher has been already there, and it has to be signed. And the legal editor Anja Trautmann was very positive, and she very welcomed this call for your book. So that's it.
So that's it from our side. So
really great value added for the project. I mean, I really think that. And then, and it's a nice opportunity. I mean, many of us need to publish. Okay, it's 11:35. So 11:55, we're back from the break, because I know we need a break. Oh, wait, we're supposed to take a picture.